Welcome to the Web Design and Marketing Diaries podcast, where we discuss online strategies designed to help you grow your business and stand out in your industry. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining this special episode of the Web Design and Marketing Diaries podcast. I'm really excited about this episode here because I have a special guest that's going to be joining me talking about something that I'm sure many business owners have heard about over probably all of this year. I think I probably started hearing about it mostly at the beginning of this year. And that is the new requirement for LLCs, known as the beneficial information or beneficial ownership information filing requirement. So I kept seeing these posts on Facebook about it and people saying, this is something that you have to do. And it seemed kind of scary because it appears that some of the fines and things can be pretty hefty if you don't follow the filing requirements. And I was actually getting ready to try and do mine myself. And I got nervous. I got scared. And so I said, let me lean on my network and reach out to someone who I know for a fact will understand this and be able to explain it to me and also be able to explain it to you guys and just let us know what to expect, what it is that we should be doing and how we can fulfill this requirement. All right, so I'm so happy to have on the podcast today Leslie M. Jones. She is the owner and CPA of LM Jones and Associates, a CPA firm here in Michigan and Southeastern Michigan. And she's highly skilled and dedicated with her clients. She's very knowledgeable about tax advisory, tax accounting, financial planning, advisory services for business owners. And I know that she's going to be the perfect person to be able to give us some good information on this. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Leslie on. All right, there she is. Hey, Leslie.
Hey, how are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm so glad you were able to join today. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to jump on and just talk about this new requirement that we got going on here. I think I said it right. The beneficial ownership information. Is that what it's called?
Yes, the beneficial ownership information. And it's a new requirement, particularly under the Corporate Transparency Act, and it's regulated by the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network.
Okay. So can you talk to us a little bit more about, first of all, who is that? Who is the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, and why do we as LLC owners or members should care about that?
Right. So why is this relevant? It's relevant because what they're trying to do is basically identify who are the actual owners of LLCs and corporations. They're basically trying to promote more transparency around the owners in order to sort of eliminate like the illegal activity that's going on with money laundering and financing like terrorist crimes and networks and things like that.
Okay. All right. So then it's just something that's where, because I know it's really easy, at least here in Michigan, it's super easy to start an LLC. I mean, I've started, I don't know how many. So it seems like they're just trying to maybe buckle down on that, maybe.
So anybody can have an LLC, but what they're trying to do, it's pretty simple when you have an LLC where it's one owner, right? So that's a single member LLC. It's pretty easy to identify who that owner is. So a lot of our LLCs, that are legitimate businesses that are just out here trying to make a living, I don't think that we have any issues to worry about. They're really just trying to identify when those structures start to get a little bit more difficult, meaning like there's several shell companies. So this LLC owns this LLC and LLC B owns LLC D. And it gets a little harder for the government to actually identify who owns a company.
Okay, I see. So do single member LLCs and multi-member LLCs, we all have to apply or abide by this requirement?
Yes, absolutely. So all LLCs, corporations, small and medium-sized businesses, definitely have to submit this reporting requirement.
Okay. And so what does that like, how do you fulfill this? What do you do? Because I saw all these posts about it, and everybody was like sharing the same post saying, don't forget you got to file this if you started, you have an LLC, but nobody said how to do it or where do you go to do it.
Right. So I can provide you, I mean, honestly, it's pretty simple.
Okay.
You need to have a valid ID. It could be a passport, state ID, or driver's license. Your name, address of all the owners of the business, and
Okay.
you file it. And I can provide a link to the website if you like, but you provide that information directly to the Financial Crimes Enforcement. Their website is, and it's specifically for BOI reporting. And this is for LLCs that were formed prior to January 1st. You have this entire year to, you've had this entire year to submit that filing, and the deadline is January 1st of 2025. But LLCs formed in 2024, this filing should be reported within 30 days of the formation of a corporation or LLC.
Oh, wow. So for those who maybe didn't realize that this was a requirement and they've started their LLC this year and they have not filed within that 30 days, what happens then?
So I would say to just get it in as soon as possible. There is potential for financial, like some penalties. There may be penalties because it's so new. It may be a penalty waiver, but my recommendation is to just get it in as soon as possible to avoid those penalties.
And then this is something that we can do on our own, or should we hire someone like you to do this for us? What do you recommend?
So honestly, it's a pretty simple filing. I think that most LLCs and business owners of the LLCs and corporations, the information that they're asking is the EIN number for your business and some personal information. If you have maybe a little difficulty in answering some of the questions in the portal, then you may reach out. This is something that my firm handles for clients if you need some assistance, but for the most part, I think if it's one owner, maybe even two owners as a partnership, I think it's something pretty simple. Like I mentioned before, it gets a little difficult when you have multiple LLCs that are owned by other LLCs.
Okay. All right. So, and it doesn't cost anything, I think, to file this. You can just go on and to this website and file it. Okay.
That's correct.
So then if we don't file, then there may be some financial implications. And like what type, because what I saw, it seemed like it was pretty expensive. Like if you what they're proposing, at least. So maybe this year, maybe they won't do it, but it seemed like it was kind of high if you didn't file.
So you can get fees up to, I've saw anywhere from $500 per day up to a $10,000 fine.
Oh, wow.
Yep, for non-compliance. And then failure to file, misrepresenting, or concealing the requirement, you could face criminal penalties.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Well, yeah. So it sounds like it's pretty straightforward. Then, it seemed like that everybody should be able to fulfill this requirement pretty easily, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I would think so. But if you're, uncertain about some of the questions in the portal, I would definitely encourage you to reach out to your professional, or, obviously my firm if you don't work with, a lawyer or a CPA.
Okay. Is it long? Like, is it a long form that you have to fill out, or?
It's really not. And I can say it takes about, say if you're one member or two member LLC, I don't see it being any longer than about 30 minutes to complete it, if that.
Okay.
When you're going through some of the questions and some of the terminology may be a little confusing if you're not familiar, but it's not a bad filing at all.
Okay. And then you mentioned that EIN. So do you have to have an EIN in order to file this? Or if you have one, you just have to make sure that you have it with you?
Yes, that's correct. If you don't, like if you're a sole proprietor, you can use your social security. Like if you're just an
Oh, okay.
LLC, sometimes we don't use our EIN when we're doing businesses. We're just operating as a sole proprietor. You can definitely use your social security number.
Okay. So, oh, yeah, so a single member, you're somebody like a single member LLC that doesn't have an
Yes,
EIN that can just use. Okay, I see.
that's correct.
Okay. And then any other type of business formation need this, or is this strictly for LLC? So if you have like an S corp or anything like that.
Yep. So a lot of times when you're an S corp, you are an LLC or a corporation. A S corp is mainly just a tax status. Like some companies
Okay.
are treated as S corps for tax purposes. Um, there are organizations that are exempt. So when we think in terms of small business, medium-sized businesses, those organizations are required to file this. But if you are a publicly traded corporation or a large corporation, meaning like $5 million in revenue, 20
Mhm.
plus employees, you are not required to submit this filing. Nonprofits are not required, banks. But for purposes of our conversation, I think mainly most of our immediate group will probably be required to file
Mhm.
it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think that kind of eases my mind a little bit because like I said, I just kept seeing stuff about it, but I did not see it really wasn't clear. And then when you Google it, of course,
Yeah,
everything ends up being, somebody trying to make some money off of it. And so you see all these random websites come up and you don't know which one is the actual one that you should be following. So thank you for supplying the link, and I'll be sure to include that
yeah,
in the show notes for everybody that's listening so that you'll go to the
absolutely.
correct site to make sure that you get this filed. So I just want to recap then everything that our listeners should have when they get ready to do this. So they definitely have to have their ID. I mean, are you like scanning this and uploading it to, or are you just getting the information off of it or what?
They want an actual copy of this ID.
Ah, okay. So your
Yeah.
ID or your passport, whatever identification you're using. If you have an EIN, you want to have that number. For some people, maybe they got their EIN when they first got their LLC and they maybe don't know it. How can they get like a replacement? Do you just call the IRS and get another one?
Yes. So you'll have to call the IRS and request them to send you a copy of that form where it has your ID and filing requirements.
Okay. Do you need to upload that form to this filing system or you just need the number?
You just need the number. You
Okay.
just need, and if you, I mean, honestly, if you've been filing your taxes and if you use your EIN for business and any
Hmm.
kind of capacity, you should, it shouldn't be hard to find.
Okay. And so they need the ID, their EIN. Is there anything else that they should have prepared, like any type of financial documents or anything they should have ready?
No, just one of the things that stood out was, so say if you are like the legal name of the business, and if you're
Okay.
using like a trade name or a DBA, just have all that information ready to input into that system.
Okay. And so no filing number. Like I know here in Michigan, we have that number, like your file number with Laura or whatever your state agency is licenses the LLC. You don't need any of that.
No, no,
Okay.
do that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, it sounds pretty good then. Okay. So I feel a little bit easier,
Yeah,
a bit better about logging on and doing it.
yeah, it's new, so a lot of people are, have been a little nervous about it, but
Mhm.
I would say take a shot at, trying to, send in the report, and if not, then, reach out if you don't
Yeah.
understand some of the terminology.
Okay. All right, and you'll be sure to include your information. So I'll have that for people. So if they have any questions about anything, they can definitely reach out to you and to your team to help them with some of that terminology. Because I know that I feel like some people that have LLCs, they just get them and don't really think about everything that is involved in it. Like in addition to
Yes.
that, we have the annual reporting that's getting ready to come up.
Yes.
And I know sometimes people don't do. I'm guilty of that. I've done that in the past.
Yeah.
Didn't know what it was. I'm like, oh, I got my LLC. Didn't know what it was, and didn't file my
Yes.
annual report. Then I went into not good standing. Then you got to file all
Yes.
the old ones and file another form to get back in good standing. It was with the
Yes.
previous LLC that I had. So, but those are things that you can do also with that you and your team does as well. Some of the registered
Absolutely.
agent services. Okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
just kind of to piggyback off, the annual report. And sometimes when you are applying for maybe a city or a state grant, if you're not in good standing, then you won't even qualify to even apply
Mhm.
for that grant. So you have to, make sure we're keeping up with all of our requirements for
Yeah.
maintaining a solid business.
Yeah. Can we just talk about the annual report real quick before we finish? Because when
Yes.
you hear annual report, right, I was like, oh my God, I don't have, I started, this was like 10 years ago. I started an LLC. I wasn't really doing anything with it. I had it. I have an LLC. And when you hear annual report, I'm thinking like this big, huge thing. You want my bank statements and everything. What, at least here in Michigan, what's the annual report? Let the people know what the annual report
The
is.
annual report is just basically you going to the state and saying year over year, yes, I'm still in operation. Yes, these still are the members, or I am still the only member that owns this or is operating
Mhm.
this LLC, updating any address information or if your resident agent changed. And that's it. You're basically just letting the state know, hey, I'm still operating in the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
It's really as simple as that. It's no financial information. The fee, depending on the type of organization you have, could be anywhere from 10 to 25 or $50 a year. And that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And when I found that out, and I had realized I don't have that LLC anymore, but when I realized that I had, I mean, it was years. I had to
Yes.
like, I want to say I had to complete maybe like 8 or 9 of them and then you had to file the other form to get the restoration of good standing, which was like
Yes.
$50. So yeah, so I ended up spending about $500
Oh,
to
wow.
get that, yeah, back in good standing. When I'm like, I could have just spent this $25 every year if I'd have just
Yes.
known that this annual report is literally like a 1-page document
Yes.
that I'm just saying, yep, I'm still Victoria, and yep, this is still the name, and it's just me, and I'm still
Yes.
here in Michigan. Wow.
And you know what? They sent, just make sure on the site when you go in, just make sure the email is current because they'll send you a reminder starting, I want to say November. They start
Yes.
sending a reminder to say,
Uh-huh.
hey, your annual report for 25 is due by
Yeah.
February or March. So just
And
make
they
sure
send
all the
it
current.
to your registered agent. And I think I was using, it was a mess, but yeah, that's why we have people like you that's supposed to set these things up for us so that it's done the right way, because you can be your own registered agent, but if you don't understand these things, or if you're not, like you said, checking your email, you're just using a random email, you will miss these communications from them, and it can end up costing a lot of money to get this stuff back situated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, perfect. Thank you so much, Leslie,
No
for jumping
problem.
on real quick to give everybody that information. I will include Leslie's information in the show notes for this episode. You'll be able to find all the show notes and a full transcription of this episode, as well as the link to the BOI filing at my website, thepeercollective.com/podcast. You'll see the episode there. And if you have any questions as you're filling out your BOI information form, be sure to reach out to Leslie, and she and her team will be more than happy to assist you. Thank you guys so much for listening in, and I'll catch you on the next episode.